But when you think about his impact on the game and the way he's revolutionized I get why that argument is there.
I feel you. I appreciate your measured and thought out take. It's needed sometimes in the face of me. I'm literally about to say that I think Steph is number two.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Yeah. I think he's number two. I just look at the career accomplishments. I'm 29, bro. I'm not gonna pretend that I was sitting around watching full Oscar Robertson game tapes. That's not what I'm about to do. Or Jerry.
Let me put you on game.
Yeah, let's talk about another team balling out of control. Let's talk about the Golden State Warriors, led by Steph Curry, aka Young Teddy Graham Face, aka the Ascot Assassin. He has been balling out for them, and they are currently the best team in the league. I don't think there's really any question about that. They are head and shoulders above everyone else. Right now, they're second in offensive efficiency. They're first in defensive efficiency, and obviously that's going to make them first in overall net rating and point differential, which are two. I think point differential is one of the best stats for knowing who the real best team in the league is. That was one of the reasons why I said the Bulls were a top 5 or 6 team, because I think they're fifth in point differential, which means they're beating the teams by the fifth biggest margin in the league, and the Warriors are first by a mile, basically. Yeah. So I think outside of their record, I think all of those stats are indicative of them truly being the best team in the NBA. And you think about how well they're performing and the fact that they're going to get Clay back within the next few months. And all reports is that he looks like Clay. So that's scary. It's interesting that the roster hasn't changed a great deal, but they've made a huge leap just because of their style of play, like their propensity for sharing the ball and getting everyone involved. And that kind of helps put teams in the toughest position possible. But the Warriors have been a monster, and I don't really see them slowing down anytime soon.
Neither do I, man. I mean, when you're looking up and down this roster and just the guys that are shooting well, as well as just playing great defense, Andrew Wiggins stepping up, Gary Payton the second, looking like the glove 2.0.
The mitten.
Yeah. he's averaging 14 minutes a game, but it's still somehow averaging 1.4 steals a game, which is insane. That it's insane. Steph is averaging 1.7 and Draymond is averaging 1.1 for comparison. And they're both doubling his minute total easily. And he's just been playing really good ball off the bench, and has been a 47% 3-point shooter, which is like, what? Okay. But yeah, between them being one of the best offenses, if not the best offense in the league, while simultaneously being the best defensive team in the league, is mind-blowing to me. And Draymond is the master manip, man, of that offense. His stats don't pop out at you with the 8 points a game, but the 7.6 assists and the 7.5 rebounds, while anchoring that defense, making sure everybody's in their right spots, knowing when to slide his feet, knowing when to ramp up the intensity, knowing when to slow things down. And Steph just being one of the greatest scorers that I've ever seen off and on the ball, and just putting on a clinic in terms of how to move throughout the court. I know people are like, it's like his logo shots and his step back, crazy shots at the corner and on the wing, the flash. But what really sets it up is his excellent ball movement. And he almost has to play that way because of how tight teams play him. It used to be before that, if you were a great shooter, guys would just shadow you all around the court, double you to neutralize you. But how much can they neutralize you if you're willing to take a logo shot? How well can they neutralize you if your release is that quick? And he still does it, averaging 29.5 a game, on 42% from three, 5.7 threes made a game, bro. And he's still doing it, and it doesn't look like he's slowing down. Putting together another MVP season, man. Like, you gotta love it.
He's basically the best he's ever been individually right now, which is crazy to think about because he's had some of the best individual seasons of all time. So yeah, all of the scoring you've highlighted, it's incredible. But I was also looking at something else that's incredible, is that he's leading the league in scoring while he's 28th in time of possession. which means he's 28th in the league of how long he actually has the ball. And for context, there's guys ahead of him like Devontae Graham and Jalen Brunson. So they have the ball for a longer period of time than Steph Curry does, and he's leading the league in scoring. So like I feel like what that does is that he's not holding the ball long enough to stagnate the offense, which is the exact opposite of what you see or what you've seen with like a team like the James Harden Houston Rockets, which is the reason that they weren't successful for a lot of those years before they got Chris Paul, was because you can't win like that. You can't win with one guy monopolizing the ball. Like it's too much of a tax on him physically and to carry the team. And it's also predictable for the other team to actually defend that. And then you see it with Luka this year. Like the Mavericks are they're a pretty good team, but they're basically Luka or bust. And that's kind of why they can't really get to where they need to get to in the playoffs, because like if Luka's not hitting, then like what else do you really have? Like Porzingis ain't on anything right now. So like
I mean, he's been doing better lately, but yeah, overall Porzingis has been having a bad season. Yeah.
He's had an okay season, but like I mean, over the last couple of years, he really hasn't been the Porzingis that they need. And when the playoffs come around, will he stay healthy? And if he is healthy, like is he gonna be more than a spot up shooter? So like that's a Mavs conversation, but whatever. Like I'm just not a Porzingis guy. But like it's to get back to Steph, it's been crazy because not only is he not monopolizing the ball, he's helping their offense run with their share the ball mentality. He's hitting threes right now at a rate that would break his own regular season record by like 43s. So it's crazy. He's hitting them with the best efficiency he has in a while. I don't always want to do the first take topics, but I do want to broach the topic because I heard it on a podcast earlier this week and I was thinking about it, and like I didn't really have a definitive answer for it, but I do think that there's an argument. I legitimately think that there's an argument for Steph Curry as the greatest point guard ever. I'm not saying he is, but I do think that there's an argument there. What do you think about that line of thinking?
I think that line of thinking is appropriate, being, especially considering his age, how long he's been doing it for, this prime run of Steph for the last 6-7 years, the back-to-back MVPs, the finals appearances. The only thing he really doesn't have on his resume is a finals MVP. But otherwise, he's making a case as one of the best, as the best point guard ever. But I decided to just dig in a little bit and look at the stats. And you can't, like, there are three guys who are considered to be the best point guards of all time that you really can't ignore because of their ranking historically. You got Magic, you got the Big O, and you got Jerry West. I thought Jerry West was more of a shooting guard, but on his profile, they list him more as a point guard. And then when you see his stats as, 32nd in assists, 22nd in scoring, 10 all NBA first teams, finals MVP, finals title, as well as 14 all-stars and 14 all defensive first team selections. Some of these guys who are at the top have done it on both ends of the floor, as well as just having their full career to explore and to like dig in and piece apart. Jerry West logo. We saw what Magic did against, teams like the Celtics and wherever else in the Lakers. And his 5 NBA titles, you got Oscar Robinson, the original triple-double machine, 12 all-star appearances, 9 all-NBA, an MVP, number 7 in assists. And as much as I want to put Steph up there, I think he's going to be up there at the end of his career, but now it's still just a little premature. But when you think about his impact on the game and the way he's revolutionized it, I get why that argument is there.
I feel you. I appreciate your measured and thought out take. It's needed sometimes in the face of me. I'm literally about to say that I think Steph is number 2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I think he's number 2. I just look at the career accomplishments. I'm I'm 29, bro. I'm not gonna pretend that I was sitting around watching full Oscar Robertson game tapes. That's not what I'm about to do. Or Jerry West. But just looking at it purely from a statistic perspective, because when you are talking about the greatest, I think that is a valid way of looking at it. Like, how many All NBAs do you have? How many championships do you have? How many points did you score, et cetera, et cetera. And then you take the narrative into the account as well. But just looking at the stats, I think that Magic is the only person that has a better resume than Steph does at this point in their careers. I think because we've had the championship discussion before, and you over there, Mr. Rings culture. So I'm gonna need you to get on the boat with me over here, because Steph's got 3, Jerry West 1, Oscar 1. I think Oscar's, a lot of his numbers were, unfortunately, for a so-so team. He didn't win until he was paired up with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar towards the end of his career. Not saying it doesn't make him any less great, but I think Steph won his chips in the prime of his career. And I think that 2015 championship carries a lot of weight. I know the KD Warriors stuff is a little bit of a mixed bag for a lot of people, and maybe me too. But I think at the end of the day, 3 chips is 3 chips, and that 1 chip carries a lot of weight as well. But yeah, just looking at the numbers and the comparison between the two, they both played the same amount of seasons, Magic and Steph. So I think that's a good barometer to start there, is that they actually both have the same amount of playing time in terms of how long they played. You can toss in, because Magic's career ended early. He came back for a season. I don't it's a little wonky in that aspect, but we're looking at the chips. Magic has 5, Steph has 3. All NBA first teams, Magic 9, Steph 4, and then Finals MVPs, Magic has 3, Steph has none. So I think statistically, of course, I think Steph's points are more impressive, but I think Magic's rebounding and assist numbers are more impressive. But I think that's the only guy. I don't think that guys like Jason Kidd are better than Steph. I don't think Steve Nash is better than Steph. I don't think Gary Payton, John Stockton, as great as all these guys are, I don't think that they're better than Steph. I think Jerry West and Oscar Robertson, I think they're all on the same tier. But I think if you just personally, especially, I think there's a bias because I've watched Steph for a large portion of my life. I think that, he's number 2 for me. And I think he has a fair shot at number 1 if he keeps going for the next couple of years, especially considering modern technology, and his ability to shoot the basketball isn't going to go away. So
that's a fact. I mean, I think that overall, you do bring up some good points, and yes, I am a rings guy, and Steph does have 3. So in theory, he should be catapulted above those other 2. But I like to leave some space for the legends to breathe a little bit before I like to crown someone else. And I'm just enjoying what Steph is doing right now. And I know I'm confident because he's playing so well. He's been playing at such a high level that I'm sure that when it's all said and done, he's going to be right there next to Magic, which would then catapult him into one of the best ever category. But I think defensively is where he has been lacking for majority of his career. And he's
been better this season, but
I mean, at best he's adequate, average for the position to above average, get some poke away steals and stuff like that. But some of the other guys on the list have been better defensively, and that's something that I can't ignore personally. But I'm excited to see Steph just continue to light the league on fire, man. And once Klay comes back, Klay doesn't even have to be great. He just has to be average, essentially, and just fit in off the ball, which he does really, really well. So this is an exciting season. There's a lot of parity in the league, and there's no clear team that seems to be the best. It's really about teamwork. I've seen from, it's 1 star, maybe 2, but just teamwork seems to be what's going to actually lead some team to a chip this year.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, interesting conversation. One that we'll certainly have to revisit as Steph's career goes forward. But let us know in an email. Let us know in the comments what you think. Do you think Steph Curry is the greatest point guard of all time?